You've heard it. Big changes are coming to Spotify in 2024. Some of them affect the way royalties are paid out. The official word is out. We're going to see what Spotify says in black and white and break it down word for word. Let's find out what they've got to say. Ready? Let's get into it. I have a blog in Spotify for artists. So if you go to artist.spotify.com and go to the blog, they actually talk to you, music artists, about what's upcoming, things that they are working on. They give you tips, tricks, resources, all of this stuff in the blog. So if we go here to the blog and we scroll down, this was started November 20th is when they actually implemented. And they're talking about they're introducing new policies to better support those most dependent on streaming revenues as part of their livelihood. So what they're saying is they're implementing these policies to better support you as an independent artist because you get revenue as part of your streaming business. I would not encourage you to solely depend on streaming revenue as part of your income strategy. This is not how you as a business should perform, but this should be an additional streaming revenue for you. And and Spotify is trying to help you as an artist make the playing field better. And they say here, as Spotify payouts to the music industry continue to grow, so over $40 billion and counting, they've paid out in streaming revenues. They want to make sure that the money is going to the people on their platform and is designed to enable. Spotify is designed to enable emerging and professional artists. However, there are people that are taking advantage of Spotify. And they said that as the Spotify royalty catalog is surged, there have been people draining the royalty pool. And it has reached a tipping point for them. So they're going to work closely in collaboration with industry partners. And there's a list of all of these people that they're working with. And I'll show you exactly how they're doing that to introduce new policies. One, to further deter artificial streaming. That's their number one problem. Two, to distribute small payments that aren't reaching artists. And then to rein in those attempting to game the system with noise. This is a really, really interesting one here. And if you didn't know this was going on, this is a whole other game that you've missed out on. It is crazy what these noise people are doing. But anyway, so they say while they only impact a small percentage of the total streams, they say addressing them now could put an additional $1 billion of revenue back into the system. And they're saying that they're not keeping this money. It's actually going to go back to you as an emerging and professional artist. Over the next 5 years, it should generate $1 billion in extra revenue. That's a lot of money. So, issue number one for Spotify is artificial streaming. So they invested heavily in detecting and preventing and removing royalty impacted by artificial streaming. So done all of this work to prevent artificial streaming, but bad actors continue to attempt to steal money. Every year we've seen it in the Spotify rap numbers. We've seen these people with millions of followers on Spotify, and we're like, but you can't sell a ticket anywhere. So where is this money? Where are your fans? All of that stuff. They're stealing from the royalty pool. They're stealing the money that you should be having as a hard working, honest artist. And how they're addressing this, they're going to charge. They're charging for artificial streaming. So, as a new determinant beginning early next year, and we don't know when these changes are coming into effect. Spotify hasn't put a date on them, but when companies say early of a year, they mean Q1, which would be between January and March. But like I said, we don't know. They will start charging labels and distributors per track when flagrant artificial streaming is detected on their content. We don't know the numbers. It has been speculated. I saw one person say $1. I don't believe it's going to be $1, but it will be a number that is going to be imposed on labels and distributors per track that when artificial streaming is detected. So they said this new deterrent follows improved artificial streaming detection technology that they rolled out earlier in 2023, as well as the establishment of the newly formed Music Fights Fraud Alliance. And we're going to go to the Music Fights Fraud Alliance, and I'll show you who the members of this Fights Fraud Alliance are. They're members, and it gives you their mission statement here. They're a global task force aimed at eradicating streaming fraud. And these are their members. There's Empire, Amazon Music, Spotify, United Masters, DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore Belief. These are very, very heavy hitters with a lot of money and with a lot of power and with a lot of friends in the music industry. So don't take this lightly. But they have joined an alliance called the Music Fights Fraud Alliance, and they've partnered with this National Cyber Forensics and Training Alliance to say right here, identify, mitigate, and disrupt cybercrime. And you can find out more about it by ncfta.net. And they're talking about streaming fraud is a global problem. Spotify is paying a lot of money out, and they're citing this article right here by Billboard. Why can't music fix its fake stream problem? And they say, oh, we're fixing him right now. They have this alliance, and it's you can join this alliance. That's basically what the Music Fights Fraud Alliance is. But let's go back to Spotify and what they're saying about this. But Spotify is able to fight artificial streaming once it occurs on the platform, but the industry would be better off if they weren't they were disincentivized. If they didn't make money, period, they wouldn't get on there. So they're like, they've got on there, they've made the money, you kick them out, they've already made the money. What they want to do is just make the incentive to get on there less, so that it would make less people want to do this. All right. So the next issue, and this is the one that made all the headlines that said Spotify is not paying under 1,000 streams. This is the one. Payments lost in the system is their issue, they say. So they say Spotify hosts well over 100 million tracks, and tens of millions of them have been streamed between 1 and 1,000 times over the past year. And on average, those tracks generate 3 cents USD per month. And if you're on a label or a distribution company, you have a distributor, you have most of you have a withdrawal limit of $2 as the lowest, and then a lot of them are at 50. So if you don't make this minimum amount to withdraw your money, you can't withdraw it, and it just sits there, and banks charge a fee for those transactions. And the money often doesn't get to you, the artist or the person that's uploaded it. It's not you, because you should be making more than 1,000 streams. You should be promoting your music more than to get more than 1,000. But besides that, you forget about those 3 cents payments sitting in your account. $2 payments. You're not withdrawing those $2, because that $2 costs you money to withdraw, and then it becomes less than $2. So it just sits there. And so they say, but in aggregate, which means altogether in total, these small disregarded payments have added up to $40 million a year, which could instead increase the payments to artists who are most dependent on streaming revenue. So let's look at that. Let's say you're on this distribution label, and your minimum threshold is only $2. You have made you get less than 3 cents a month. Let's say you make 3 cents a month. That is 24 cents, less than 1/4 USD a year that you're making on your streaming revenue, which will take you 2.34 years to generate the $2 needed to withdraw from your label or your distribution company. And every month, Spotify has to send you 3 cent payments that they have to pay for. And they say enough is enough. On top of that, as it sits there for that year and that second year, and that third year, or however many years it sits there, you forget about it, and they're steady paying you, and you're not going to withdraw it anyway. So they say, why pay you when we could just take that money that we're making, that we're sending out to you, which is, they say, about $40 million a year, and distribute it back to artists that are actually eligible. They have track monetization eligibility. That's how they're addressing it. So starting early 2024, we do not have a date still, and we're 4 days away, 5 days away from the new year. We don't have a date. Tracks must have reached at least 1,000 streams in the previous 12 months in order to generate recorded royalties. Spotify will not make additional money under this model. They say that the money is going back to artists, music artists, people that are uploading music to Spotify. They said they'll simply use the tens of millions of dollars that they get annually to increase payments to all eligible tracks instead of sending out 3-cent payments. They're going to talk about why. They said it's more impactful for tens of millions of dollars per year to increase payments to those most dependent on streaming revenue, rather than just sending out 3-cent payments to people who aren't taking the time to market their music to make 1,000 streams a year. They said this policy will eliminate one strategy used to attempt to game the system and hide artificial streaming, as uploaders will no longer generate revenue from pennies on extremely high volumes of tracks. They say that also that there's people that are taking advantage of the system by uploading lots of small tracks at pennies of the dollar and getting paid. And this is true. We're going to see that in a second here with the next issue that they have coming up. But if you want to get more details on this policy, Spotify has shared it here. There's a track monetization eligibility article. Here's the track monetization policy. So the track monetization policy they talked about in 2023, and then you can hit this and learn about what we go back to where we were about modernizing the royalty system. This was a blog we just read, but it reiterates this 1,000 stream threshold, and it talks about that they want to be as transparent as possible. They have a video explaining how royalties work, and I'm gonna spoiler alert, I'm gonna tell you that let's say that you had streams in January, you weren't eligible. You had streams in February, you weren't eligible, but you became eligible in March. You will not start generating revenue until March, and it doesn't go back. So they won't back pay you for January and February. You'll just start earning royalties in March. All right, now let's go back to what we were talking about with the last issue that Spotify wants to address, gaming the system with noise. So they say in the streaming era, functional genres are popular. There's people that need to sleep, that can't sleep. There's like white noise, whale sounds, beach music, beach sounds, crashing waves, static, and so on. And said, listeners often stream these functional genres for hours at a time in the background. And this is sometimes exploited by bad actors who cut their tracks artificially short with no artistic merit in order to maximize royalty bearing streams. Let's say, for example, I'm a person that has problems sleeping. I go to this particular playlist that uh, plays background noise for me, and I fall asleep to it. Normally, if I fall asleep to a track, let's say you put out to your music, you have an EP that's maybe 5, 6 songs long. They're about 2 minutes apiece, 60 minutes, and then I'm done with the music, and I can loop it back to your song or whatever I want to do, or it can continue or turn off. But what these white noise, what these functional genres are doing is they're stacking 30-second tracks on top of each other. They're back to back to back, where your LP is 60 minutes, 12 tracks. There are 60 minutes at 5 tracks, or 60 minutes at four. They're 60 minutes at 100 tracks because they're just stacking them back to back to back to back to back. And so therefore they're generating revenue on each of those tracks because that's a stream. And I fall asleep to white noise background, and I've fall asleep for 8 hours or 7 hours and then wake up after 7 hours and turn it off. That is 7 hours of music that person has generated. It is a lucrative business that is making millions and millions and millions of dollars, that Spotify is sick of. And then they say beyond track length, noise recordings are valued in the same way as music recordings. So Spotify said they're the same. We're valuing them the same way as your music recording. Taking the time to write out music, go in the studio, record it, mix, master, produce this music as someone that has just put out white noise, chopped up a track 30 seconds and uploaded it to the system. And they said this isn't fair. And it's well beyond the contribution that they make to listeners for the money that they're getting paid. So, how they're addressing it, they're implementing new policies for noise recordings. So, starting next year or starting in 2024, they're going to increase the minimum track length of functional noise recordings to 2 minutes in order to be eligible to generate royalties. You can keep your tracks at 30 seconds if you want to, but if you want to generate music royalties, streaming royalties, they have to be at least 2 minutes long. These functional genres will include white noise, nature sounds, machine noises, sound effects, non spoken ASMR, and silence recordings. Additionally, over the coming months, they're going to work with licensors to value noise streams at a fraction of the value of music streams. So, white noise and your songs are not going to be at the same. White noise is going to be here. They're going to devalue it. So you think your 3 cents per .03.216 is nothing? If you make white noise, it's going to be less. So by setting the minimum track length, these tracks will be making a fraction of what they were previously earning because 2 minutes of listening to noise recordings would generate one royalty bearing stream instead of four 30-second streams. That frees up extra money to go back into the royalty pool for you, the hardworking, honest artist. It also creates a more fair playing field for artists in functional genres by eliminating the bad apples that are stacking their songs, whereas stacking their music, stacking these sounds, whereas there are legitimate people that are out there that want to make yoga music or help you go to sleep that are legitimately doing it. So these policies, they say, will right size the opportunity for noise uploaders. And currently, the opportunity is so large that it's flooding the streaming services with undifferentiated noise recordings, hoping to attract enough search traffic to generate royalties. And I'm going to show you one example of these white noise. So this one is 11 hours, 241 songs, 11 hours. And imagine these as 30 seconds. They are 2 minutes and 51 to comply with Spotify's policy. But imagine if these were all 30 seconds. 141, 100 and something. Oh my God, we're going to 241 tracks. 241 tracks. Uploaded August 1st, 30 seconds back to back to back. Let's say that what happened. And think how much money that would generate. And so Spotify is like, enough is enough. We're over it. And so they're going to devalue those tracks. So each of these tracks that you see here be uh, valued at a fraction less than what you make as an artist. So there you have it. So they say they're going to continue to keep you updated as they roll out initiatives in the new year. And so for more information really about how the royalties work, you can visit Loud and Clear. That they put all their policies out here. They talk about how much their payouts were. They tell you all of this information about streaming revenue, how much they've done. You can click these buttons, like see, click on a dollar amount to see 6 years of Spotify revenue data. Fiddle around, and see all of these numbers. Spotify, like they said, they're trying to be very transparent as to where money goes. And here's how the money flows video. So this is for you if you're just a performing artist, and then this is the publishing edition if you're a publisher for the publishing rights, and then some of the musical voices of Spotify. And there's some stuff here. Meet the artist on Spotify, established. Yeah, so go here and how they made it. They tell you how they made it. They're really trying to just be more as transparent as possible. They say they really are champions for the emerging artists. And if you have not, do check out the video I made about how to record at Spotify studios. I mean, you as an independent artist can record at Spotify. They say it. Spotify say that they really are trying to help emerging and professional artists, and they have this initiative to help emerging artists be more professional, and they're lending out their multi-million dollar recording equipment to you as an independent artist. I made a video about it. It is another bonus episode of Level Up Your Digital Marketing. Go check it out and do book an appointment and go record your music. I mean, multi-million dollars in music. This is the same recording equipment that your favorite artists that you see signed to labels are using, and they give you a freaking engineer. That is a spoiler alert that I that you get an engineer as well. So go check out that episode and let me know what you think about these modernization policies that Spotify's coming up with. You think they're BS? You think they're really padding the system? They're trying to really steal from artists? Or do you really think that Spotify is really trying to help emerging artists? Check out their articles, look at these resources and see what Spotify is doing for artists, and then come back and let me know what you think. And get ready for the new launch of Level Up with TT. We are coming in January. I cannot wait to share with you the episodes I have coming for you. Let's make your dreams a reality. I'm TT the manager. Peace.